Saba Bank, a wild section of the Caribbean, notorious for rough seas, rich marine life, and drug smuggling.
They smuggle drugs, they smuggle people, everything.
Saba's authorities have made a rare discovery, a mysterious modern shipwreck. No one knows its name or how it got there.
Like they say, ships don't often give up their secrets easily, and this one's not.
Father and son divers and explorers Mike and Warren Fletcher have come to the remote island of Saba to battle the wild ocean.
Holy
That was insane.
Their quest is to identify and tell the story of the ghost ship of Saba Bank. The volcanic island of Saba was settled by the Dutch nearly 400 years ago and was infamous as a refuge for pirates. Since then, its steep cliff faces and rocky coast have kept the tourists away. Offshore lies Saba Bank, a 2,000 square kilometer marine paradise, a great incubator of sea life in the Caribbean, and home to a ghost ship. The Dutch Navy accidentally discovered her May 12, 2006, during a mapping survey of the ocean floor. Sonar scans revealed a modern steel-hulled ship, approximately 100 meters long, resting on the bottom. On average, 110 large freighters are reported lost each year at sea. But in this age of international registries, GPS tracking, and shipping logs, only 1% go unaccounted for. The discovery of a large wreck with no identification, no record of a mayday call, and no sailors reported missing is simply unheard of.
It's like it just appeared on the ocean floor one day, and that just doesn't happen with modern ships. For Warren and I, the chance to solve a mystery like this is a remarkable opportunity.
Mike Fletcher meets with Jan Drost, a retired Dutch Navy officer and member of the St. Martin's Sea Rescue Unit. He's been investigating the ghost ship for 3 years, but has discovered nothing.
This is an unusual phenomenon. A modern, fairly modern ship, a big steel boat.
Big steel boat, over 300 feet.
Right.
Yeah.
It just appears out of nowhere.
Out of nowhere. Ships of this size, it's nearly impossible that they disappear. They have proper communication equipment. They are not dependable anymore from one small VHF transmitter. So it doesn't happen that a ship goes down without letting anybody know.
No.
It's impossible. And nobody knows anything about this ship. On Saba they know nothing about it. St. Martin knows nothing about it. I even searched in my files from the Coast Guard if there was a mayday, if there is received anything, and nothing. We know nothing about this ship. Nothing.
Drost has spent his career policing the waters around Saba, a hotspot for smuggling and criminal activity. One theory is the ship was involved in something illegal, which might explain why there is no record of it going missing.
Well, and hearing your experience with drug trafficking, I mean, it wouldn't be unusual for a freighter this big to be involved in contraband either.
No, that would not be strange. It is just outside U.S. territorial waters. That is a possibility. So it's a completely mystery, and I think you have something to investigate. And I would like to know the results as well.
Well, we'll work together on this. Whatever we find out, I'll be sure and pass it on.
Well, I would appreciate it if you keep me informed.
Could the massive freighter have been smuggling drugs just outside the reach of American law enforcement? Saba's authorities and people want answers. The dive detectives hope to provide them. The starting point in their quest is the ship itself. They will have to conduct dangerous penetration dives, scouring the compartments for a name or registration number. Armed with those clues, they can analyze shipping logs and marine reports in order to piece together the tale of the ghost ship.
We've explored lots of shipwrecks around the world, but this is going to be a difficult dive. Just getting to the wreck is a challenge. The condition on Saba Bank can be really choppy, and the weather can change in an instant.
Using the coordinates from the Dutch Navy, the team make the 42-kilometer trek through rough seas to the remote section of Saba Bank where the ghost ship lies. Saba is known to divers around the world, but few venture this far offshore. On the bank, huge waves converge from virtually every direction. Fierce squalls can appear without warning, and below the surface, it's a feeding ground for tiger and reef sharks. The many dangers have helped guard the secrets of the ghost ship. Members of Saba National Marine Park, Greg van Lake and Jan den Dulk, know all too well the perils of diving on the bank.
It's just the fact that we're so remote. We're 26 miles away from shore. You know, you can't get rescued all that quick. That's what's going to be going on in the back of my mind today.
Dive boat captain Miles Nowak does his best to synchronize their path with the GPS coordinates. According to the Dutch Navy, the top of the wreck lies only 7 meters below the surface. It shouldn't be difficult to spot once the team are in the water.
It's going to be interesting, you know. We've done a lot of this kind of stuff, and it never gets boring.
I'm in my focus mode, and it's important at some point to get there. You don't want to be scared, but then you don't want to be too cocky either.
Once they locate the wreck, their first task will be to secure the mooring line to the ship. This will mark the dive site and provide the Fletchers with a crucial lifeline to and from the surface.
I can't see it. I think we're off position, right?
The Fletchers are unable to locate the wreck. Instead, they're met by a school of reef sharks. Powerful hunters who have a reputation for unpredictable behavior.
We're not gonna find it. We should get out of the water.
The surface current and churning waves have knocked the team off target.
Look out!
They have no choice but to struggle back to the dive boat. Weighed down with 2 extra large tanks and a camera, Warren is in danger of being crushed as the boat rises and falls in the swells.
I don't think this wreck wants to be discovered, man. That was insane.
Everybody okay?
I'm pretty whooped.
The team need a better plan to get a line on the wreck.
You not seen it on the sounder?
Not as of yet.
Mike helps Miles locate the target with the depth sounder. The depth sounder detects sound waves reflected off the bottom. This presents the team with a profile of the wreck and allows them to lock on to its exact position.
None of what we just experienced would have happened if it was a nice day on Saba Bank. You know, on a nice day, you get on the position, you look down, you see the wreck, you jump in with a rope and swim down and tie it on. It's why this wreck was so slow being found.
Visibility was perfect.
There we go, we're on it.
There we go.
There we are.
Ready?
The Fletchers need to mark the location of the wreck with a buoy. They head out into the rolling surf to position it near the site.
Miles, I'm getting a little nervous about this weather. It's getting really dirty back the way we gotta go, and this swell is picking up quite a bit. I think that we need to be out of here at 1 o'clock at the absolute latest.
Mike and Warren move the buoy into position. But with storm clouds threatening, they have just an hour to secure it to the wreck, or it will be dragged off target by the powerful current.
Well, we got time to do a quick job on it.
You want to dive down there,
It would be nice to come back and have a line in it, that's for sure.
you know, but then you gotta go now.
Yeah.
Okay, but here's how it's gonna go. You go down, it's not there,
Come straight
you're
out.
Mike and Warren dive 36 meters to the bottom of the bank. Slowly, the massive steel freighter comes into view, sitting upright on the ocean floor.
Seeing a shipwreck for the first time is always a huge thrill. And my first impression was that she's an awfully large ship to have just gone missing and not have anyone come looking for her.
The team must move fast to gather as many clues as possible. They begin by searching the exterior of the 96-meter wreck, while Greg ties off the buoy line. The wreck is encrusted in thick coral and barnacles, concealing any identifying marks or a name that may be painted on the ship's hull. The dive detectives have permission to look and touch, but not alter. The site teems with marine life. Hawksbill turtles, nurse sharks, and barracuda have adopted the freighter. To their surprise, the team discovered that the bow is completely severed. The ship has been torn apart. It's nothing like the Dutch Navy sonar images taken just 3 years earlier, when the ship was intact.
It's quite possible the wreck's been hit by a hurricane. Some have enough power to move entire wrecks across the bottom. A strong hurricane might have enough force to tear the freighter apart.
Time is running out, and the Fletchers must return to the surface. Warren looks back and catches a glimpse of something stashed deep inside the wreck's cargo hold. They're out of time, but the hold's contents could be an important clue to the ship's identity.
Intriguing. It looks like a wreck with lots of questions and no answers. We're past the first hurdle. It's a nice feeling to know that that line is now in the wreck. And if we get 2 days of bad weather, we can count on being able to get on the wreck and helping everybody here and Saba solve the mystery.
Yeah.
The mysterious circumstances surrounding the ship's sinking suggest she could have been carrying something illegal. The area around Saba Bank is a major transport route for drugs moving north to the U.S. The next step is to find out what the locals know. Some Sabans suspect drugs were involved and want to find out just what happened in their own waters. Mike meets with Frank Granger, the first Saban notified of the mystery wreck.
I've never heard nothing about a ship, no survivors or anybody, no family members coming to look to find out anything about the missing ship. And the ship was almost likely by a company. The company lost the ship. The operators of that vessel should have known where it left and where it was going, you know.
Right, but none of that.
No, none of that. We never heard nothing that the ship was missing on our bank.
It almost smells like maybe there's a little underhanded skullduggery going on here. What do you think?
Well, it could be.
Well, we're going to do what we can to try and get some answers to these.
Yeah, that would be great. I would like to know for myself also.
Frank and many other Sabans want to know about the ghost ship, but because of the dangers surrounding smuggling, they have been cautious in their investigation.
Going on.
And I was thinking, well, I shouldn't maybe stick my neck out too far either. I mean, I don't want to get involved in something that maybe I shouldn't be in, you know. A lot of ships have got something on the manifest inside the ship's cargo hold or something else. That has been going on since the time ships start sailing the sea.
But it is the Wild West out there. There's a lot going on that people don't
Saba
want.
Bank has a lot of things going on that you wouldn't know about. Smugglers right back. Pirates, modern day pirates.
It's got a long day.
Piracy still going on. They smuggle drugs, they smuggle people, everything.
Each year, more than 200 metric tons of cocaine are seized in the Caribbean en route to the United States. The ship may have been sunk as part of a dangerous criminal enterprise.
Discover the past with exclusive history documentaries from History Hit and uncover the secrets of some of the most famous people and events in history. History Hit gives you access to a growing range of documentaries presented by and featuring historians at the forefront of research and debate. Whether you are looking to find out more about charismatic leaders like Cleopatra or to discover the story behind the Industrial Revolution, History Hit will have something for you. We also aim to bring you the stories and legends that shaped our world through our award-winning podcast network. Sign up now for a free trial, and Absolute History fans get 50% off their first 3 months. Just be sure to use the code AbsoluteHistory at checkout.
The Fletchers plan a challenging dive designed to access the ghost ship's cargo area and determine just what she was carrying. Critical clues to identifying the wreck.
You've got to remember that diving is the most crucial part of this expedition. Identifying the wreck has to come second. The most important thing is just not killing yourself down there.
They follow the buoy line down and head straight for the shattered holds. The wreck has settled lower into the sandy bottom beyond the ocean floor. In order to investigate the cargo, Warren must go beyond his planned depth. His air mixture allows him to safely dive to a depth of 36 meters. But now he must go deeper, a risky business at these depths. He propels himself down another 6 meters into the hole. Two massive and potentially unstable cranes tower dangerously above his head. His father watches from above, ready to help in an instant. He discovers large shipping bags. They are rock solid, a clue to their contents. Warren's efforts may provide the team with their first big break, but he may have put his life at risk. He's pushed himself beyond his planned dive depth, and despite adjusting his decompression stops, a rash appears on his chest.
I just came out of the water and I felt a bit of an itch there, which can be normal. You know, sometimes you get a little bit of coral or dust or sand or something in there, but once I pulled my suit off, I had this red kind of marbly texture or rash on my skin. It's the first indication of what we call a skin bend. And that's the telltale sign that you might be really kind of getting close to decompression sickness. It happens, and that's why we have the oxygen.
Breathing pure oxygen is Warren's first line of defense against developing full-blown decompression sickness, known as the bends. He must cleanse his blood of excess nitrogen, accumulated because he went deeper than he planned during the last dive. The bends can cause severe pain, paralysis, and even death. Warren can't risk going back down to the wreck, so Mike will have to continue the investigation alone.
Kind of feel weird going without you, War. The last 10 years, I don't think there's been too many times we haven't been in the water together.
The team have more than 7,000 cubic meters of freighter to search, so they have no time to waste. Mike must penetrate the wreck to search for clues. But exploring an unknown vessel is a risky task without Warren. If he gets lost or injured, there will be no one inside the wreck to help him. Mike enters the pilot house, near the highest point in the wreck. The control center for the ship. This is where the crew would have stood watch and piloted the vessel. Mike hunts for a ship's log, a critical document that could provide the ship's name and crew list. One wrong move in these tight spaces, and this maze of debris could trap him.
It's kind of a weird, tumultuous feeling. I don't know how to describe it. I love seeing what's going on down there, and I also love to be there with my dad in case if he has a problem and I can help him out. Me and my old man do have a weird relationship. We do lock horns quite a bit, but it comes right down to it, we're there for each other.
Due to the danger of searching alone, Mike limits his investigation to the pilot house. Frustratingly, there are few clues among the tangled wires and smashed control panel.
I'm not finding the typical machinery you associate with the pilot house. The steering wheel doesn't seem to be there. The pedestal that holds the steering wheel, none of that's there. And that's really got me wondering. Either it's been knocked down and lost in the clutter inside the cabins, or someone's been there ahead of us and has taken it.
Mike finds nothing useful in the ruins of the pilot house, and going deeper into the ship might increase his own risk of contracting the bends. Topside, the oxygen has worked, and Warren's skin bends have disappeared. But the day is cut short. It's too soon for Warren to dive again, and it's too dangerous for Mike to continue without him.
Like they say, ships don't often give up their secrets easily, and this one's not. Saba's making us work for everything we get.
The only clue the team have to the ship's identity are the big bags Warren found deep in the cargo hold. He and Mike believe they may contain cement gone rock hard on contact with the seawater. The next dive may uncover evidence of contraband cargo, but for now, the Fletchers follow up on their one solid lead. Warren meets with Saban quarry owner Ronnie Johnson to talk cement.
So is this a typical way that they would package up the cement to bring to the islands?
Yeah, this is the easiest way. It's fast. They pack it in like 45 bags to the pallet. Only now lately we got equipment to handle this sort of thing.
Okay.
Formerly it was manpower. 2 men to a bag, and that's the way we handle cement in those days.
So what point in history would they have switched from just manually loading each bag to doing something a little larger scale like this?
I'd say about 10, 15 years ago that when we got heavy equipment in, like loaders and forklifts and stuff like that, we went out to this. Formerly, like I said, we went with the smaller bags, so they was easier for the men to lift and handle.
Right.
Mike and Warren now have their first big clue, an age range for the wreck. The size of the bags in the cargo hold means there's a good chance the ghost ship sank sometime within the last 10 to 15 years. But the team needs more. Mike follows a hunch and heads down to the harbor. The local fishermen know these waters better than anyone and constantly monitor the emergency channels.
Are you Nicky? Yeah. Hi, I'm Mike.
Maybe someone heard a mysterious distress call within the last 10 to 15 years.
I know a few calls I've heard are probably possible.
Mike gets a break. Fisherman Nicky Johnson heard a distress call that may have a connection to the wreck. It was an SOS from a Spanish cargo ship to the French Coast Guard.
You actually heard a Mayday call?
Yeah.
10 years ago?
Oh, eight years ago.
Yeah?
They were saying that they were coming from Venezuela, bringing cargo, and they were taking on water, and they were going down, and then when the French Coast Guard asked where was the captain, and the guy who was on the radio told him that the captain had went downstairs to check on the problem that they were having, taking on water, and he slipped and hit his head, and he was down below. And a few minutes later he called and he said the boat's going to get ready to go down. They're going to put the life raft in the water and get into it. And then after that, there was no more radio communication. I was hoping to see something in the newspaper that he had found the guys, but nothing ever came up. It went quiet, real quiet.
See, whenever I hear about a ship like this, immediately I think of insurance fraud, but nobody in their right mind is going to sink a ship, 120 feet when he can sink it in several thousand feet.
Yeah.
If you're going to do a fraud, you don't want the evidence to be found.
Correct.
So that's why, to me, it doesn't make any sense. The only other thing that makes sense to me is that there was somebody carrying some contraband, they got into trouble, it sank, and they all ran away, and they're hoping like heck nobody's ever going to put somebody's identity to that wreck.
I think so. I think it's something like that. I've heard a lot of boats go down, but no one ever finds them.
Nicky shared his Mayday story to help the team with their investigation. Now he asks a favor in return. He's an 18th generation Saban fisherman, but his way of life is under threat. A massive oil depot on the neighboring island of St. Eustatius draws hundreds of oil tankers from all over the world.
Man, that's a big ship. Wow.
Many of these ships drop their enormous anchors and chains, often causing irreparable damage to the bank.
And you can see the damage the anchor chain does just rubbing on the ship itself. Those big scrapes.
Yeah.
Ship's anchors threaten huge tracts of marine life, and with it, the livelihood of fishermen like Nicky.
Destroying everything on the bottom that took years to grow. The tankers are very destructive. to me and the Saba Bank.
When I listen to Nicky's story, I care for guys like Nicky. I hope guys like him, honest guys who are just trying to make an honest living, will have a future.
The Fletchers dive to investigate the damage the massive anchors are inflicting on the bank's sea life. The massive chain measures approximately 300 meters in length and weighs over 30 tons. It cuts a wide swath across the ocean floor. Mike examines a delicate yellow barrel sponge. Potentially half a century old, it has been toppled by the chain and cannot survive in an overturned position. They see firsthand the scars left behind as the anchor dragged across the ocean floor for 100 meters, destroying everything in its path before tearing into the seabed.
Seeing the anchor scars, I now understand how a Saban way of life and an essential part of their identity is in jeopardy.
Without protection, the beauty and diversity of Saba Bank will continue to be at risk. Early the next day, Mike and Warren get ready for the most challenging dive of all. They have searched the exterior of the wreck and explored the pilot house and cargo holds, but they still don't have enough evidence to identify the ship. Now, they penetrate the hatches and go deeper than ever into the wreck, searching the crew's quarters for personal effects, anything that might give them a name. They tread carefully through the smashed hallways and tight cabins, knowing that human remains may lie around the next corner. They traverse stairways and move through rooms, searching for ID tags, wallets, anything left behind by the crew that could tell them who sailed this ship and where it was headed.
As you swim through the wreck, you realize this was a vibrant ship not so long ago, with men and perhaps women walking the decks. I don't think they're there now. There's no solid evidence of something tangible that would help us identify an individual. Were they lost to the sea? Did they go down with the ship? We just don't know.
It's as if the ship's crew suddenly disappeared. It's possible their remains were consumed by the abundant marine life. The Fletchers continue to search through the passageways choked with wreckage. Warren makes a discovery that could be a clue to the missing crew. He's found a flag tangled within the stairway.
Oh, it's definitely a clue, Warren.
Oh, yeah.
No one on the team recognized the flag. It could be a courtesy flag, used by ships everywhere as a sign of respect when entering another nation's waters. Or it could represent the country under which the ship was registered. Either way, it may result in a breakthrough. Warren goes online, scanning through flags of the Caribbean, searching for a match.
Hey, there's one that looks like it. St. Vincent Grenadines. I don't think there's any question.
It is a huge break for the team. St. Vincent and the Grenadines might be the ship's home country.
It's a promising lead for us, but without a name, we're still searching for a needle in a haystack. We're gonna have to go deeper into the wreck.
The ship's engine room is the last part of the ghost ship to be explored. But the Fletchers will have to descend 5 stories into the heart of the wreck to find it.
Look for an engine builder's plate. Something often in the engine room will be a key as to the identity of the vessel.
Few divers would drop so far into a completely unknown wreck. But if they can find a name or serial number, they could crack the case wide open. The Fletchers will penetrate the ghost ship's engine room through a skylight in the stern and drop 17 meters. Working that deep in the ship with no communication to the surface, Mike and Warren will be entirely on their own. If anything goes wrong, no one will know until it's too late. They have no blueprints or ship's plans to guide them, only each other. They finally reach the engine room. A maze of narrow stairwells littered with smashed machinery, electrical cables, and broken pipes. Their own movements stir up years of debris, clouding their visibility. They work as fast as they can to allow enough time and air to retrace their steps in case they get lost in the wreckage. With time running out, Warren investigates one final corner of the engine room. And his efforts pay off.
I don't know if you noticed this, I found some writing.
It's on an electrical panel,
Yeah,
right?
you can see all the wires sticking out.
I think it's Russian.
It's gotta be. It's that crazy Russian alphabet. I wish I knew what it was called, but now this is odd because it's Russian at the bottom, and I'm not sure, but to me that looks a little bit like Polish. If you look really close right there, it says 1968.
It's stamped in there.
Yeah. So we're looking for a ship that sank, obviously, after 1968.
Right. So you think this is some sort of Admiralty inspection plate?
Or maybe the date that this panel was manufactured. I'm not sure. Depends where the ship is from, how often these things have to be inspected, and how they have to be certified, right?
But let's assume that this is a Eastern Bloc ship.
I think we can assume that for sure. Yeah.
The clues salvaged from the wreck are helpful. The ship was probably built in the 1960s, somewhere in Eastern Europe, and may have sunk within the last 10 to 15 years. But the Fletchers still need a name to piece together the story of the ghost ship. They believe their only option is to remove a section of coral and barnacle growth from the stern, in the hopes that the ship's name is still visible below. Mike finds Jan den Dulk, manager of Saba's National Marine Park, at work on one of the island's nature trails and seeks permission for the operation.
And as the manager of that area, do you have a problem with us getting a little aggressive when it comes to trying to uncover the name that's covered under a bit of marine growth?
I think, since the word got around this island, of course, there's lots of stories and people are vaguely remembering things they've heard.
Right.
So there's a lot of mystery about the wreck, and I think the people on this island would, like to have that solved.
Permission granted. The Fletchers prepare for their final dive. The people of Saba are looking to them for answers. And now, the entire investigation hinges on what Mike and Warren can uncover beneath years of sediment and growth. It's hard work, and any paint still on the ship could easily come off with the coral.
We've done jobs like this before on commercial ships, often using water jets. But the hammers are actually better because we can control the amount of force needed to just remove the growth and still trying to protect any writing that might be underneath.
The dive detectives' efforts are rewarded. Letters slowly begin to appear on the stern of the ship. But they must be very careful working at this depth. They're breathing an enriched oxygen mixture designed to give them as much time as possible at their depth of 36 meters. But because of the specific mix of gases, overexerting themselves could trigger the potentially deadly onset of vomiting and seizures. A name emerges. It could be the clue they need to unravel how this massive freighter ended up on the bottom.
Awesome. It always seems to work this way. You have a lot of bad luck, things aren't going your way, and then right at the end it all comes together.
But Mike and Warren disagree about what they found.
I say Marina.
Marina?
Marina.
Yeah, you think so?
Yep.
I sure thought it was an N.
N or M?
I thought it was an N.
Okay. Well, I'm going to go with Marina.
Okay. You just said Marina, and now you're saying Marina.
I want to be right.
Now, hold on. There it is right there.
Wow, it looks like an N there.
It sure does.
Okay, so N-A-R.
But, whoa, wait. See that little triangle that comes down? You see that tiny little bit of a line right there?
Uh-huh.
I think that might be part of an M.
Okay.
If you see that, like that line right there should continue down, but it doesn't, it breaks up. See that?
Yep.
So I think you're right, I think it is Marina.
Okay, so M.
Marina makes more sense, it's a very nautical term, right?
I don't know.
I think
it's a woman's name.
It'd be a good name for a ship anyway, Marina.
The team have amassed an impressive body of evidence. Its approximate age, where it was likely built, its cargo. They also know the ship carried a St. Vincent and Grenadines flag, and most importantly, was named Marina. Now they hope these clues will lead them to what really happened, how this vessel came to lie on the bottom of Saba Bank. The Fletchers have given the ghost ship a name, Marina. Warren heads to Miami in search of the freighter's shipping records. He meets with Kenneth Gale Hawks, an ex-Marine, a lawyer, and an insurance investigator. If there's one person who knows how to trace a ship in the Caribbean, it's Hawks.
We can see that there are a number of marinas.
Oh, yeah.
Hawks has found several ships named Marina in the official shipping logs. Warren must help him narrow down the list and identify the correct vessel.
Those tons.
Yeah, that's way too big.
We know that isn't it, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and
oh, well, there you go, St. Vincent and Grenadines. We actually found a St. Vincent flag on board the ship.
okay.
And heavy cargoes.
This tells us that this is the build history. Shows
Yeah.
that she was built in 1968.
Oh,
See anything-
yeah, 1968, yeah.
Did you see anything in the ship that indicated 1968?
We did actually, on an electrical panel, we found a date that had been stamped in, and it was 1968. So that's
Okay.
really interesting. It says three holds, which is right. There were 2 large cargo holds and then a smaller one at the bow.
And then one engine, basically.
I only saw one engine, yeah, single propeller. Well, I'm definitely excited by this wreck. Everything really fits the mold perfectly, so it's, I would say more than likely that it was this ship.
Well, I'd agree with you, Warren. I think that's probably the ship.
Yeah.
Warren and Hawks have found the right Marina, but the records offer a strange story. It appears she suffered a near-fatal accident 120 kilometers away from where she was discovered on Saba Bank. Reports indicate the disabled ship was towed by salvers to the Caribbean island of Tortola.
It's a little weird to me. Do you feel like there was maybe some kind of underhandedness or some kind of illegal activity going on with the ship?
Well, in my opinion, there are some real questions in this case.
Yeah.
The reports indicate that the same owners had one other ship about the same age, which sank a month later.
Oh, really?
In approximately the same location.
Wow.
Now that, to me, sets off all sorts of warning bells.
Yeah.
The dive detectives follow the trail to the island of Tortola, where the ship was towed. It is the last recorded location of the Marina before her sinking. Unlike Saba, Tortola is a major vacation destination, famous for its many beaches. The Fletchers have also found photographs of the Marina in her prime, a stark contrast to the rusted, broken wreck they explored at the bottom of the ocean.
Oh, there she is.
No question, huh?
The ghost ship was built in Bulgaria in 1968 and was originally named Varna. Based on shipping records, she spent 25 years hauling cargo around the world until the early 1990s, when a company in the British Virgin Islands bought her and used her to move cement in the Caribbean. The final reports of the Marina have her in trouble during high seas just after midnight, August 4th, 2000, not far from Tortola. A night that local salver, Kevin Rolette, remembers well. Rolette was responsible for bringing in the Marina the day after its first brush with danger. He may also be one of the last people to have seen her afloat. They hope he can explain what happened to her on Tortola, and ultimately, what took her to the bottom of Saba Bank.
Hi there, Kevin.
Kevin is taking the Fletchers to where he first met up with the Marina.
You guys about ready?
Yeah, you want to go right now?
Yeah, we got Derek, who helped us with the Marina up in town. We're going to pick up on the way. And you guys can give a hand getting the lines off. Let's get rolling.
Just after midnight on the 4th of August, 2000, Rolette was among the first to hear the Marina's desperate calls for help. The ship was taking on water, and the crew was preparing to abandon her. He was also the first to contact the local island police, who rescued the crew in high seas, leaving the Marina abandoned and adrift.
Derek, who you're going to meet shortly, myself kept talking about it through the night. He's a ship's engineer, and we kind of shared the same theory. We really didn't believe that the boat was going to go down like everyone thought it was going to.
Yeah.
At first light, Rolette sent Derek Blair up in a plane to assess the Marina's situation. Blair, a veteran marine engineer with 40 years of experience, was among the first to lay eyes on the ship after the crew was rescued. His aerial reconnaissance revealed a ship that was still afloat, but taking on water.
And you can see the decks were awash. She was very low in the water, and she was rolling water off the scuppers and off the decks.
Wow.
Abandoned hours before, the Marina was drifting dangerously on a collision course with the rocky shores of nearby Ginger Island. Authorities feared that the Marina's massive fuel tanks would rupture when she smashed into the island, an environmental disaster in a region dependent entirely on tourism. Rolette decided to save the ship.
Typically, the jobs we get around here in the BVI would be yachts that get in trouble, maybe smaller merchant vessels, but this was clearly much larger than what we normally deal with. But also very aware of the fact we're running out of time, that this thing was going to be on the rocks if we didn't do something, give it some effort.
Yeah.
As quickly as we could.
The salvage team scrambled into action. Blair was the first person to board the Marina. He saw a ship in desperate shape. The evidence suggested sabotage. The Fletchers suspected the mystery ship had been involved in shady business. Now they have an eyewitness.
Do you have any idea maybe where the water was coming into the ship?
When we pumped the engine room down, we did notice we were still making water on the port side forward. And we did find a valve that appeared to be open. When we shut this valve, it definitely cut down the amount of water ingress to the vessel.
Wow. Oh, that's a little suspicious, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. You know, these big valves don't open themselves.
Right, right.
Somebody opened the valve. In my opinion, it could have been a scuttle job, but it's hard to tell.
It's pretty fishy.
What at first looked like an accident may have actually been an attempt to sink the ship on purpose, gone drastically wrong. A key valve was left open inside, and the Marina was carrying much less fuel than expected, suggesting that the order to abandon ship may have been prearranged. The ship's owner may be the only one with the answers.
It's just in my nature to be inquisitive, and I've worked in the marine industry long enough to know that there's a lot of slippery fish out there. Did you ever get the feeling like this guy maybe wasn't on the up and up?
I can't say that at first. In my dealings with him, I found him very charming, interesting guy, interesting background. For me personally, the biggest task was to try and get the thing under tow. And at that point, she had her rudder turned, so she was quite unwieldy with a heavy lift to one side, water scooping off the deck.
Salver Kevin Rolette and his crew managed to stabilize the Marina and safely tow her 38 kilometers to Tortola, where he continued to make repairs. Later that month, Rolette photographed the Marina's crew returning to the vessel and stripping the ship of all remaining valuables. The photographs explain why Mike and Warren found nothing of a personal nature on the wreck. They also suggest that the crew may have known the ship was done for. Tortolan authorities ordered the Marina's owner to remove the derelict ship from their waters. The owner said he was taking the ship to Trinidad, and under his control, she headed out to sea.
When you saw the Marina sail away from Tortola, did you have a good sense of what was coming?
I definitely would say I was suspicious and curious about what her final outcome would be, yes.
The Marina leaves Tortola in September 2000, never to be seen or heard of again, only to reappear on the bottom of Saba Bank.
So do you find it surprising that we managed to find the Marina down on Saba Bank?
No, I'm afraid not. It just confirms what we first thought, that more than likely it was a scuttle job gone wrong the first time, and the last time the owner was there, so they did a good job.
Perhaps after decades of service, the freighter had outlived its usefulness. The cost to repair and get the Marina back up to safety specs could have been hundreds of thousands of dollars. Even towing her to a port where she would be sold as scrap would cost more than she was worth. Instead, she ended up on Saba Bank under questionable circumstances. Only her owner knows the truth, but he died in 2001, a year after the ship was last seen. The Fletchers pass on the results of their investigation to the Saban authorities.
It's great to be able to unlock the riddle of the ship, and after all these years, give something back to the island and its people.
The Marina is no longer a ghost ship, but the story doesn't end with her sinking.
Once considered an environmental hazard, it's now fostering all kinds of marine life and helping to revitalize the ecosystem of Saba Bank. I'm glad we were able to give the Marina back her name.
The dive detectives have completed a difficult mission, identifying a rare unexplained shipwreck and uncovering the story of the Marina. They have solved the mystery of the ghost ship of Saba Bank.